Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Heather Francis, and welcome to another episode of Midlife Moves. I was looking at some statistics recently, and one of the things that really stood out to me is that about 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And a lot of that's happening in midlife. Women in their 40s, women our age. So when you hear that, it's really easy to jump to conclusions about why. My husband and I were going for a walk this afternoon, and we were actually talking about this. And his take was maybe it's hormonal. You know, could this have something to do with perimenopause? And I think that that's probably part of it, but I don't think that's the whole story. Just like neither does he. Because even when I look at our own life, my own life and our relationship, there was a period where when my kids were getting older and they didn't need me in the same way anymore. And I went through a pretty significant identity shift. If you listen to the show for any length of time, you know that already. This is not news to you. And it was rough a little bit for him and I. We had to relearn each other. He had to tolerate a lot, and I had to work through some stuff. And it's, like we didn't go through this because anything was terribly wrong with either one of us or our relationship, but everything was just changing. It was different. And I have to imagine a lot of women at this point in their life start to look at their marriage and think, does this still fit who I am? It's not bad enough to leave, but it's not quite right anymore either. And that in-between space is what we're talking about today, because it's incredibly common and almost never talked about honestly. So today, I'm once again joined by Molly Rubesh. Molly works with women navigating exactly this and helps them understand whether they want to stay, repair, or leave. This conversation isn't about telling you what you should do. It's about giving you language, clarity, and maybe helping you feel a little bit less alone if you're sitting in that space right now. Let's get into it. You know what's interesting? I've had so many conversations lately about sleep, like not falling asleep, staying asleep, that 2 or 3 a.m. wake up where you're just up, which I deal with that too. And we're like, oh, this is what we're doing now. But recently, a couple things shifted for me. I cut back on drinking, which I know no one wants to hear, but it's helped. And the other thing that surprised me is our mattress. Helix sent us one, and I was honestly skeptical because we had just bought one like a year ago. I didn't think it was going to make a difference, but I'm actually sleeping better. Like fewer wake-ups, deeper sleep. I'm not as hot. It's just better. And I don't think that's the only reason, but it's definitely part of it. They do a sleep quiz that matches you to one, which made the whole thing pretty easy. Anyway, I didn't expect to have thoughts about a mattress, but here we are. If you want more information, I will drop the link in the show notes. Listeners, I am so excited that Molly Rubesh has joined me again today. Molly, hi.
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Molly has been blowing up over on the gram, talking about the in-between. We're just going to go into it right away. Let's just start with that. What does the in-between marriage actually look like in real life?
Yeah, there's this in-between marriage where things aren't really good and they're not really bad. So many people feel like, okay, so it's not bad enough to actually leave and blow up our life, but the thought of staying in this marriage for the next 50 years with this person the way that it is sounds terrible and suffocating. And so many women and men actually come to me wondering, how do we get out of this? They don't want to have date night. The thought of intimacy makes their skin crawl. They don't want to have a date night because it might lead to intimacy. They just are coexisting. They take care of the kids. They do the tasks. They're just roommates. And it's not good, but it's not bad. They don't even bond. I mean, there's some days, there's days where they don't even communicate, except for a logistics of, I've got this kid, or I'll see you tonight type stuff. And so it's that in between where, how did we get here? And how did we get so far away from that couple that was so passionate and in love when we first got married.
Who are the couples that you're seeing are like that? So, like, I can only speak from my experience. My husband and I have been married for 22, 23 years. We've been married for decades. And we've definitely had moments where, like, we've grown apart. And, because, like, over time, you grow into different people and then you either grow apart or you grow back together. Like, there's all kinds of phases of relationships. Are you seeing, like, people that have been married for decades coming to this conclusion?
Yeah, I'd say as a whole, it's probably around late 30s to late 40s.
Mm-hmm.
They met, they had kids, they did that traditional path, they did all of the things. And when we meet our partner in our early 20s, it's before we have even paid bills or even cooked on our own or had a job or before we became parents. And you're right, to your point, like we have evolved so much as humans from age 20 to age 40. No different than age birth to age 20. I mean, look how much the human evolves then. And then we expect that same person is going to be in love with that same person. And if you don't work on it early, it's like they do a slow little 1 degree in opposite direction separation, and the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So as couples start to notice that they're growing apart, that's a warning sign to like reconnect and start working so the gap doesn't get so big that they're left with like a stranger in their home.
Do you notice that this is like one partner more than the other in a lot of instances? Or is there a lot of cases that it's both of them? Like they're both kind of just like, what are we doing here?
I think both partners question it, but more often the woman has said for years, like, I'm feeling disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
She's giving like, maybe we should go to therapy. And the husband traditionally is like, I'm not going to pay somebody to tell us about our problems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go to therapy. You need to figure your stuff out. And so there's a lot of like unmet bids for connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the woman starts getting her own help, she starts listening to her own podcasts and reading books and growing and evolving and maybe going to therapy and expanding on her own, the gap got even bigger because she has like lifted a veil to like that she has some choices, and that then the gap is even bigger. And then that's when the man says, let's work on things, don't leave. So it's not their fault, but they decide, yes, it's time to work on it when she's finally out the door, versus when she was like crying herself to sleep or asking over dinner or asking during a date night for the last 10 years. And I use this analogy, as a mom, when you're like, hey guys, I need you to pick up your clothes, and they don't. And you're like, hey, everybody needs to do a little more chores around here, and they don't. I've asked everybody. And then there's one day where you go like absolutely bananas and like your voice is trembling like a crazy person.
Like a crazy person.
Yeah. Yes. And you're like, and then they all look at you like, what the heck? And you're like, but I warned you. Yeah. I asked nice so many times. And so I kind of compare this analogy the same way in a marriage where the woman is saying, like, I feel really distant, or I'm feeling really disconnected, or that really hurt my feelings, or can you help me out around here, or I'm feeling very lonely. And it's unmet. And then when she finally decides, okay, I do want to leave, then he's like, wait a minute, you don't want to work on this?
Yeah.
You can't leave me now. So it's that same explosive feeling. And even if it doesn't have theatrics around it, it's like we asked for so many times and they were unheard and unmet. So that's why the gap feels big at the end.
People stay in that space, as you meant, for a long time. Why, in your experience and through the women that you've talked to, why do they stay for? I have my own ideas, and I think that this is a pretty, but why do they stay in that space for so long? And that in between?
Mainly for the children and for the safety of their home, their life, the judgment of what others will think. financially, like how do I start over? Some women are stay-at-home moms and they've walked away from their career. So there's a lot of reasons that are tangible, right? Like there's a lot. It's the kids, it's the logistics, it's the money, it's the home, it's the in-laws, it's the community that we've built, it's the friends on the street. But then there's this whole other part of we're hardwired. Like as little girls, we wanted to be married. We wanted to fall in love and follow that traditional path and check all the boxes. And we did. So we thought we did it all right. And we got married because our friends were getting married and it was time. And especially in the Midwest, like don't be 30 and single. Like you got to get married and start having your kids. And so then there's some shame around like, maybe I'm broken. Maybe I am the problem. And so we stay because it's negotiating with the tangible things. And then also this big part of who we are innately as women and how we were hardwired for safety, for love, for companionship. And it feels extremely scary to break out of that and walk away from what you know, even if it's not great.
Well, it's terrifying, right? Like you're looking at like just total upheaval. I remember when I was in my first marriage, I was very young. I can remember just staying and just saying like, what do I do if I leave? And then the morning came that I woke up and I was like, I can't do this another day. And I left that day. I grabbed my daughter and I was like, I'll figure it out. And, like we were gone. But like that decision to just blow everything up is terrifying. There's so many things, right? There's the family relations. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to grieve, I loved my in-laws. I loved my nieces and nephews. You have to kind of grieve that too. It is very messy. And not only is it an emotional transaction, but it's a legal transaction. It's a financial transaction. It's a heavy lift to break your marriage up. And that's why I'm confident. I say that anybody that when they finally reach out to me and they want support, I'm confident that they didn't just come up with that overnight.
No.
They've been doing this for years and years and years. And then they finally are saying, okay, I need help.
I can imagine being in like a woman's headspace that has been like mulling this over and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And then all of a sudden you're on their screen talking about this very thing. And they're like, I can only imagine they're like, holy shit.
Yeah, they are. That's exactly what they are. They're like,
is that what happens? Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, the algorithm is wild. How do you know?
The algorithm is wild. Yeah. So you talk about 3 doors, the stay, repair, leave. How should someone think about those options?
Anybody that's in a marriage, and let's just say anybody that's in an unhappy marriage, because if you're in an unhappy marriage, stay. I'm in a very happy marriage. I love my husband and it's my second marriage. But if you're in an unhappy marriage, you're really faced with 3 options, or I say 3 doors. The first one is stay. Stay exactly as you are. It's predictable. It's safe. It's kind of like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Brush everything under the rug. And that's okay. And many, many people choose to just stay in that position. They're like, I'm not destined for love in this lifetime. We're fine. We'll just coexist. We're definitely not going to be intimate. Or maybe we'll sleep in the guest room. No worries. Maybe we'll think about this in 20 years when the kids graduate or something. Door number 2 is you actually repair your marriage. You do the hard work. And that involves individual counseling, coaching, therapy, so you can see how you're showing up for yourself, and couples therapy. Because if you go to couples therapy, it ends up being more of a blame session. It's like, well, Heather does this. Well, Molly does that. And it's like, well, you need to go kind of figure out what your stuff is, because we all have our own things.
Yes.
It's not one person is bad and one person is good. You both are contributing to the success or the failure of your marriage. So I'd say individual support and couples support. And I have a course called the Modern Marriage Blueprint that can it's very entry level on how you can just start repairing in 6 different areas of your marriage and see which one is the most glaring. Is it intimacy? Is it money? Is it conflict? That kind of thing. And then the third one is leave. And you decide, okay, we're going to separate. We're going to get divorced. We're going to uncouple. And so really, if you're in an unhappy marriage, you can look at those three options and decide which one is best for you at this time. And some people say, I'm going to stay in door number 1 for now. And someday I might move to 3. Or some people say, it's so bad, I have to choose 2 or 3. And really evaluate, is it going to work? And hardly anybody wants to get divorced before they know that they've tried everything. So most couples really do try to repair before they decide to leave the marriage.
I spent entirely too much time on social media. There was a Facebook group. There's a Facebook group in my area, and it's large. And people sometimes put in questions about like divorce. And there was a woman, I assume it was an anonymous question. It could have been a man, but they were like, for the people that got divorced, did you wind up regretting it? Like this, and they kind of went through like where they were in their marriage, and they were like, I don't want to be in this marriage, but I'm really scared I'm going to regret it. There was a lot of people that were like, leaving was the best thing I ever did. But there was a lot of people that were like, I wish I would have tried a little bit harder. So I guess there's always that thought in the back of your head, like, so the repair, because the repair part takes a ton of, that's work. Like that's not just a little bit of work. Like that's like restructuring your emotional landscape almost.
And what happens is people say, okay, like let's work on it. And they go to 1 or 2 therapy sessions. It's kind of expensive. It's time intensive. It interfered with kids' soccer practice. And then they temporarily get better. And then they both go back to door number 1. Never mind. Let's just pretend all is well. Almost everybody I work with always asks me, am I going to regret this? I mean, it is a real fear. And of course, I'm not a fortune teller. But back to my degrees of separation, if the degrees are so big, if the gap is so big that when you get divorced, the growth continues to move you in the direction of opposite of the way that you were in your marriage. You become lighter, more confident. You get out in this world, you pick up new hobbies, you start exercising, you caring for your body. And so more often than not, they don't regret it because they totally blossom into a different version than the person that they were in that marriage. I am an entirely different person than I was in my first marriage.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have ever become this person in that marriage because I didn't even know that I could become this person. It's like it's an evolution. And so most people that I see do not regret it because they more just look at that as like a sweet younger version of themselves and they like embrace that and they love that chapter.
Yes.
But they couldn't fit this new human into that old role ever again.
And I guess really like one of the pillars of a strong marriage is when I know in my marriage, we've had our ups and downs. We've had so many ups and downs that I talked to my therapist about couples counseling, and she was like, and she said the same thing you said, that would involve intensive work on his part too. Like not just us going to couples counseling, that's both of us working at the same time, but we have done work, and I'm not going to get into it. It really doesn't matter, but he's also allowed me to grow into a totally different person because who I am now isn't who I was 2 years ago. Like I kind of, and he gave me that space in our marriage, which was very, very kind of him. And I have to imagine isn't always the case. So how can someone tell the difference between a relationship going through a phase versus one that isn't going to change? Is there a way to tell?
It's unfair for me to make a blanket statement because I do think every single relationship and every single marriage has its own personality, its own unique ups and downs. And again, I'm just a woman that coaches and supports, and I'm a relationship coach. So I can't predict everything. But what I would say is if it's very cyclical, there's really really good times, and then it dips and it is bad. And you're contemplating divorce, you're threatening divorce, you're wanting to get out, you're daydreaming, you're driving through the neighborhoods of like the condos and going, oh, I would live there. You like fantasize about where you want to be. You start maybe calling a lawyer, you're Googling divorce, and then you're like, never mind, I can't go. I can't leave. And then you kind of sweep it all under the rug. Then it goes back to that. And then you sweep it under the rug. I think normal, healthy, thriving relationships don't have those extreme lows where you're fantasizing about what your life would be like outside of this marriage over and over and over again. If there's mutuality and love and respect, it's more of, he's super annoying, I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, ugh, I can't wait until this chapter ends, or he quits working so much, or I get better at this, or money isn't so tight. Those are more just like chapters, like the baby sleeps through the night, the teenager is having more outbursts, maybe money's really tight. You're just frustrated about life circumstances, or maybe one of you have lost a job, or there's a death of a parent, or that's more of a life chapter. But if it's the cyclical, you and your partner, no matter what challenges you face, you're still in those big, deep ruts of, I don't want to be married to this person. And that thought keeps coming. I think that's lower than normal. This is just a hard season.
So it's like the difference of like, I can't stand it when he wears that fucking yellow jacket.
Yes.
And like, I don't think I can look at this person for the next 40 years.
Or I'm not really into intimacy right now. I'm not feeling confident in my body. I'm not having a lot of sex drive. I just am tired. And absolutely not. The thought of him touching me makes my skin crawl. I do not want to be intimate with this person. I don't love him. It makes me feel extremely violated. There's a difference.
When you and I talked the first time, I probably told you the story, but when I can remember one of my girlfriends getting divorced, and afterwards she was like, it turns out I do like sex. I just didn't like it with him. Mm-hmm. Like she thought that she just wasn't interested in sex. And then after her divorce, like she was fine. Like it was fine.
Yeah. I had somebody say to me last week, I think that I figured out what is going on with my wife. It's that perimenopause thing. Like she's got every single one of the symptoms. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, probably. She probably is going through perimenopause because it's a very normal thing that all women in their 40s go through. But it doesn't mean that that's the answer for all problems in your marriage.
Yeah.
It's unfair to put the pressure on every single one of these hormones when, like, was the marriage rocky and unstable before perimenopause?
Yeah.
Was there any infidelity before perimenopause? Was there a disconnect in your relationship before then? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it must be this. So I do think that that's something like low sex drive in perimenopause is contributing. But I also believe that it's more of your resentment, your irritation. You just don't want to have sex with this partner because of the resentment or the infidelity or whatever reasons why. Mm-hmm. And then it's like blamed and gaslit to, it's got to be just the hormones because it couldn't possibly be the
everything
marriage.
Else.
Yeah. Couldn't possibly be the marriage is broken. It is gotta be her problem. So she better go to the doctor.
I had no idea that that was a thing. Like people like believed that women made the decision to get divorced in like this phase of life because of hormones. And I think you and I talked about this like in DM one day. And there's like somebody wrote a book about it. Like a woman wrote a book about how women make the decision to get divorced because they're going through perimenopause. And I remember even telling Michael, and he was like, that doesn't sound right. Michael does not. Michael blames everything on perimenopause. So
Yeah.
yeah. I had no idea that was a thing.
I didn't know that that was a thing either, but I was really baffled by that statement because there is a lot going on in perimenopause. But let's just pretend we fixed everything. Like, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of HRT. So I get the testosterone, I get the estrogen, I take the progesterone, and I feel really good. If I was still in my first marriage, it wouldn't have removed the major problems in my marriage.
It's kind of like,
yes.
Yeah.
It just is now helping me not have night sweats. It's now helping me not have such big mood swings. It's helping me, with muscle loss and definition. It's helping with sex drive. But if you resent the person that you sleep in bed with, it's not going to take away that. It's kind of like taking an antidepressant if you're living in a terrible situation. The antidepressant isn't going to fix the circumstances inside of your home. It's going to help with your low serotonin. That's why it's unfair to blame everything on perimenopause, because there's likely more going on than that.
There might just be a couple more things happening.
Yeah, maybe.
if you're ready to blow up your marriage. Yeah. So if somebody listening now is hanging on every word and they're like, oh my God, this is me. Like, and they have been having these thoughts and they've been wondering, like, is this just a phase? If they're in this space now, what's one shift in perspective that could help them make a decision? I guess push them to one of the doors. Like, what is a shift in perspective that you would like to see?
It's really knowing that you do have the ability to choose one of the options. So often they say, I'm as stuck as they can be. I'm as stuck as they come. I'm like, well, are you really? Or is that a self-imposed stuck? Like, I mean, you're not literally chained to the ground. You do have the ability to move forward. And then there is a next question of, what do you really want? Because they'll say, I don't know. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
You do.
You just don't want to admit it.
Yes, you do know. So if the answer is like a quick, like if I said, do you want to fix your marriage? If the answer is yes, but he's not going to want to go and he won't go to therapy. Well, that's your head. Yes, is your answer. Do you want to get divorced? Yes. But I can't afford it and I can't leave. And what about the kids? And what about my in-laws? That's now your head. We got to go back. We need to get clear on what that quick intuition is. And then we worry about the action steps that's taken to get there. But what we're doing is we're not picking any of the doors because our intuition is telling us which one to go through. And then our mind is telling us to go in the other ones. And so you don't go in any of them. And you're outside in the rain and the weather and the elements.
Yeah.
And so it's really getting
just
grounded.
Trying to survive.
Yeah. Just pick one, because you do have one big, beautiful life and only you know what's best for you. Not me, not the person on your Instagram page, not even your mom or your best friend. You know what's best for you. And you do know which way you want to go. You're just probably afraid of the cost of that investment. The cost of staying, it comes with a cost. The cost of repair comes with a lot of work. The cost of leaving comes with the cost of divorce and separation. So none of them are easy, but it's necessary to just make a decision and make micro changes, little changes each day to get you closer to where you want to be.
I saw this again, too much time on social media. It was a woman and she was talking about how she decided to just live in her marriage, but but do her own thing in her marriage. And I was like, well, that's a perspective. Like that's an option. Like, I guess like that could be someone that chooses to stay and just work within something that works for them. Right.
Yeah. And that's actually the advice I give. If you're like, I'm staying in door number one, we're not going to repair it. We don't want to, then work on yourself. That's okay. Like, start maybe going back to work or get a second job or work on your wellness or venture into HRT or peptides. I don't know. I don't care. Play mahjong.
Right.
Like do the things that you want to do to get you to build a life. Let's just not stay in an unhappy marriage without any choices, more stuck than I've ever been, with no financial help, with no ability to leave. It's just kind of like, okay, there's a ton of free resources. There's a ton of ways to still bring joy into your life and not have to get divorced.
Yeah.
But that's a choice.
Yeah.
That's a total choice. And I can't make it for you. I know what was best for me. And I know I can help people and coach them, but I never tell them this is what you should do. I tell them and help them get to understanding their truth. I'm not a player in their life, so I don't, I want them to make the decision that's best for them.
Yeah. I love what you said about just thinking, like, what do you want? Because you know.
Yeah.
Molly Rubesh, I love that you came back on Midlife Moves today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing this.
It's awesome.
If people want to follow you and hear more, how can they find you?
The best place is to find me on Instagram, Molly_Rubesh, RUBESH, or my website, which is mollyrubesh.com.
And thank you so much. And listeners, I'll make sure all of that is in the show notes, and you can find Molly if you want to get in contact with her. Until next time. That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram at @HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.